Okay, we have the swearing in of the new police chief and deputy police chief. Darren, would you please come forward?
Ooh, looks pretty good today. Their white shirt on.
As chief of police, I solemnly swear
As Chief of Police, I solemnly swear
to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the state of Minnesota,
to uphold the Constitution of the United States and State of Minnesota,
to impartially enforce the laws of the United States,
to impartially enforce the laws of the United States,
state of Minnesota,
State of Minnesota,
and the city of Crookston,
and the City of Crookston,
to work toward providing a safe environment
to work toward providing a safe environment
and enhancing the quality of life consistent with the values of our community,
and enhancing the quality of life with the values of our community,
to adhere to the ethical values
to adhere to ethical values
of professionalism,
of professionalism,
integrity,
integrity,
compassion,
compassion,
and respect,
and respect,
to faithfully discharge the duties of chief of police
to faithfully discharge the duties of Chief of Police
to the best of my knowledge and abilities,
to the best of my knowledge and abilities,
that I take this obligation freely and without any mental reservations.
that I take this obligation freely and without any mental reservations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So if I could call Deputy Chief Nathan Nelson. Sure. Please raise your right hand. As the Deputy Chief, I solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States
To uphold the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Minnesota,
and the state of Minnesota,
to impartially enforce the laws of the United States,
to impartially enforce the laws of the United States,
the state of Minnesota,
the state of Minnesota,
and the city of Crookston,
and the city of Crookston,
to work toward providing a safe environment
to work towards providing a safe environment
and enhancing the quality of life
and enhancing the quality of life
consistent with the values of our community,
consistent with the values of our community,
to adhere to the ethical values of professionalism,
to adhere to the ethical values of professionalism,
integrity,
integrity,
compassion,
compassion,
and respect,
and respect,
to faithfully discharge the duties of Deputy Chief
to faithfully discharge the duties of Deputy Chief
to the best of my knowledge
to the best of my knowledge
and abilities,
and abilities,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
and without any mental reservation.
and without any mental reservation.
Congratulations.
Can I have roll call, please?
Beth Broughton,
Here.
Melby,
Here.
Jurdy,
Here.
Erickson,
Here.
Briggs,
Here.
Cavalier,
Here.
Kressel,
Here.
Klatt,
Here. Okay, this brings us to the open forum. If anyone would like to address the council on any issue not already on tonight's agenda, may come to the podium, state your first, last name, and address, please. Hearing none from council chambers. Chad, anybody on the phone bridge, please?
No, Your Honor. I will close the bridge.
Thank you.
Agent logged off.
Okay, we have one presentation tonight. It's from Hybrid Energy LLC, Renewable Energy Presentation. We have Mr. Dan Jewell here from Jewell Energies. Thanks for coming. I guess everybody's got kind of a little packet here. Dan, you just want to take a few minutes to just kind of highlight what it's all about?
Sure. First off, thanks for having me here, but didn't know I was supposed to have a presentation. I thought I was supposed to come and talk to you guys, but that's okay. As Dale said, I'm the former CEO of Jewell Energy. I retired a few years ago. I live in Red Lake Falls. I was born in this town many years ago, and I've been involved in renewable energy for over 40-some years. And a few months ago, some friends of mine approached me, and one of them was Bill Ford Jr. and some other folks, Doug Baker from Eagle Labs, and they wanted to they were forming what they call an impact fund, which is basically a group of high net worth people that want to do something positive with all of their money, all of our money that they have. And so they wanted to do renewable energy. And in my work as Juul Energy, with the chairman of Juul Energy, I work to develop technology called the hybrid technology, which is the using wind and solar together to provide firmer power as a resource on a commercial scale. And we put the project together. I don't know if any of you have been over to Red Lake Falls lately and seen the project there. That was one that I built a few years back and actually sold. When I retired, I sold it to a New York utility, no less. But that's kind of an example of what we're talking about. And so Bill Ford came to me and said, hey, they're concerned what's going on with all of the coal plants that are closing all over the country because of carbon and what's happening with climate. And we just saw it just recently in North Dakota. Great River Energy just gave away a 1,200 megawatt coal plant for $1 because they're uneconomical. They can't compete in today's marketplace. And so Junior said, hey, what are we going to do? We want to build all these electric cars and these pickups. And not was just him, but also Mary Barra from GM was seeing the same thing. And so they said that they put together this fund to basically help provide transportation fuel for the build-out of electric cars in the future as we go along. And so they asked me to help them do that because that's what I've done most of my life in this business. And I said, well, I'll do it, but I'm going to start here. I'm not going to be traveling all over the place and doing it. And so I know the Honorable Mayor, Dale, for quite a few years. And I said, well, one of the things that Junior, Bill Ford said was that they were wanting to look at first places where they have a Ford dealership. And so I knew there's one in Crookston. So I came and talked to the EDA because part of the thing that they're doing too, not only are they putting clean generation into the system and selling power at a very low cost, but they're also want to contribute to the economic development of rural communities. And so they're basically voluntarily donating or giving $25,000 a year from the project's revenue stream over the 20-year life. That's $500,000 that they're willing to give to the local communities where these hybrids are located. So obviously Dale said, oh, we'd like to see that. And so that's why we're here. But it's a unique project. It's what's happening with the power system is kind of scary. I mean, you all know what's happening with Russia these days and what's happening to our gas prices. And it doesn't seem like it takes much these days for those gas prices to go north real fast. And all of these car companies are putting their full weight into the development of electric car technology. And this endeavor is part of the campaign to start producing clean, sustainable fuel here where it's being consumed. And that's the thing. If you see the little diagram on the board, you can see the system that we all know and love. Got the big power plant, and you got to mine the coal, you got to put the coal in, and then you got all the things coming out the stacks, carbon, sulfur, nitrogen, mercury, and all those things cost us all societally. And then that power goes into a big transformer, kicks it up to a very high voltage, 345,000 volts, comes hundreds of miles across North Dakota to another substation where it kicks it to 115. That's the double pole ones that we all see around. And then it kicks it to another substation, which is basically represented by the substation out here by the peat plant. And so the hybrids, you can see, they plug in right at about the local substation level. So basically, those machines, that project delivers winter capacity with the sun, with the wind, and summer capacity with the sun and energy. And that one produces about 20 million kilowatt hours a year, which is a lot of energy. And it's delivered right to the local sub. So you have energy with no fuel, no emissions, no waste, no water, and no transmission costs. And what that translates to is long-term low-cost energy. And so that's what the project does, and part of the revenue stream from that is being brought to some of the communities in the area as part of the economic development thing. And so Dale had me come and talk to the EDA, because that's who we kind of target the money to go to, the EDA in the area to help stimulate rural economic development. And I don't know if you read recently, but in Red Lake Falls, they just announced that Altaz, the lawnmower guys are building a new factory there, and they're gonna employ a bunch of people. And one of their reasons is that they could see that that power plant outside of town was producing very low-cost energy. That system delivers power to Otter Tail for about 4 cents a kilowatt hour. And then they turn around and sell it to us at the speed of light for 14 cents. And so it's very low-cost energy, very low-cost, reliable energy. And it can all help us all in the long-term, try to get our arms around our transportation fuels and our electricity costs that we have. And so I guess I'm here to answer any questions that you might have about the project.
Where would we put this, sir?
Pardon me?
Where would we put it?
Well, we have if you look at that diagram, the wire between the local substation and the next substation, there's hundreds of miles of wire. So we'd put it someplace nearby. We're looking for different sites. And when we talk to the city, because one of the things that the project, it's one turbine, one great big turbine, and then about 10 acres of solar, 2.5 megawatts of solar. And those two things will bring about $20,000 a year land rent out of 10 acres of land. So some lucky farmer will get it. And then when we talked to Dale and EDA, we said if the city has any land where they would want to try to house some of it, we'd be more than happy to work with them on it and keep the revenue in the community of city of Crookston. But it's harder, to put these things too close to town. The one at Red Lake Falls is about a mile and a half outside of town. But we just have to tap into the wire that feeds into the substation of the community.
What's the cost to put it in? Does it cost, or did your company put them in, or?
We cover all of the costs. Yeah. There's no cost to anybody. It's all going the other way for you guys. You get the money. The impact fund, the investors in the impact fund the whole project, and the cost of it's right around $8 million a piece. So it's not a huge number, but it's when you start doing a bunch of them, it turns into a fairly big number.
Is there a certain temperature that they won't work at, like below 0, 30 below? I heard some stories that they don't work very well.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I said, is there certain temperatures they don't work very well at, like sub-zero temperatures? Is there any truth in that at all, or?
No, they don't care. Actually, if you think about it, if any of you are pilots, you know that if you try to take off when it's really cold out, you can get a lot of lift. You take off right away. And the wind turbines, the blades are basically just big wings. They have airfoils. And they're very efficient in low cold weather, so they don't mind. The turbines all and the computers all have heaters in them, and they run. I get some of these questions from people who saw what happened in Texas last year when everything froze up. And that's because the folks that put up those wind farms in Texas and the gas plants and the coal plants didn't think it got cold in Texas. But it gets cold in Texas. They didn't have any winterizing, any winter packages on any of the technology down there, and that's why they fell apart, because they weren't expecting that kind of cold on that scale. But the turbines that we have, they're all over the world, and they're cold places, hot places, and they don't really care.
How many would you think Crookston needs? 2, you said, or 3, or how many?
How many turbines?
How many turbines, yeah? One.
The ones in Red Lake Falls, those are 2.3 megawatts in generator size, and the rotor is 116 meters in diameter. So it's basically 1.3 football fields in diameter, the rotor. And the turbine in these projects, the one turbine is a little bit bigger. It's 1.8 megawatts of generator, and it's 127 meters in diameter. So it's basically 1.5 football fields spinning in the air.
What does that cover? Does all of Red Lake Falls and the surrounding area?
Yeah, the power goes to Red Lake Falls first, and if they don't use it, it goes to Plummer. And then if they don't use it, it goes to Brooks. And, because the nature of 60-cycle electricity that we all know and love, if you generate it, it flows to a load. It seeks a load. So when Red Lake Falls is satisfied, it'll get on the wire and head to Plummer. And it goes that way.
So is
So,
there a,
excuse me,
a study of like, what the residents of Red Lake Falls would save over this, for this project?
What did they say?
I mean, what they save in electrical cost?
Oh, you'd have to ask Artel if they're giving them a break.
So it gets sold to Otter Tail, then back to Red Lake Falls at,
Yeah. the
Whatever
power
Otter
is
Tail
sold- Yeah, the power is
says.
sold to Otter Tail, and they, in turn, like I said, they in turn sell that to the citizens of Red Lake Falls, and they lump it in with all of their other power, even though it's the cheapest. But I guess you can ask them if they're gonna give you a price break, but, you know.
so Otter
I
Tail's
wouldn't
probably
hold my
getting the
breath.
biggest price break, because they're getting it cheaper, right?
Yes.
And then they're selling it for whatever.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And the funny part is they still complain about it. But it's such is life when you're a monopoly. But it would be nice. Now, the city of Warren we're working on one for the city of Warren. Now, that's a municipal utility. And so they, just on the power savings alone, they're gonna save probably $400,000 a year in power costs, because of this power is so much cheaper than the system that they're buying power from. And so if you're a municipal utility and you have the retail outlet, the distribution system, then it would reduce your costs. And so I guess the question would be for our friends at Otter Tail, if they're getting power cheaper, why don't they pass some of that on? But that's not my call.
Right.
so is Red Lake Falls, the proposal that you have right now, is that similar to what you had proposed at Red Lake Falls?
Hey, hang on, let's hear what Christie has to say.
She's on mute.
I'm not on mute.
Go ahead, Christy.
I was just wondering, like the business model that you're proposing here for Crookston, is this exactly what was proposed for Red Lake Falls? Is it very similar? Is there differences?
This is a smaller scale. Basically, we're looking at just a few acres to put up some solar and winds, a hybrid model. And the benefit the city is gonna see is on land rent for the next 20 years, which would go to economic development. Basically, we put this up and then it's tied into Otter Tail's, their substation or their lines. So, I mean, we're not gonna
So what?
Go
Sorry.
ahead.
So basically, I apologize, Zoom, the bounce back's hard. So what the benefit to Crookston, if we were to make a decision on this, would be $25,000 a year for 20 years. Is that my understanding?
What did she say?
25,000
Yeah.
For 20 years.
for
That's just a piece that they've carved out of the revenue stream from the project to give to the local community for economic development. There's no requirements coming back from the city. You don't have to do anything. There's no tax abatements. There's no nothing. It's purely a give.
And then what happens after 20 years?
What happens after?
After the 20 years is up?
Well, historically, like I've been building wind farms I built my first one in actually 1986 for Northern States Power on the Buffalo Ridge, and then the first one that I had, I built in 1995 or 96. And when those turbines ran through their life expectancy they were 20-year life expectancy on those turbines. It was early technology. We took those 17 machines down and replaced them with 4 of these type of machines and doubled our revenue. And so the thing with this generation system, you have all of the infrastructure there in place, and so to replace the turbine is not a huge, I mean, it's a cost, but you get probably more efficient turbines in 25 years. And I mean, I broke my crystal ball on the way in. I don't know what it's going to be like in 25 years. Where are we going to get our power? How are we going to do it? But we're definitely not going to be doing what we're doing now from the standpoint of the electricity that we get today. It's going to be different. But the thing with this stuff is there's no fuel, there's no emissions, there's no waste. And so it's pretty low cost, long-term, cheap energy. And so those probably get replaced in 25 years. But I'll have to find out.
How long has Red Lake Falls had the wind turbines and the solar panels? How long have they had theirs installed?
How long do they last?
How long has Red Lake Falls had theirs installed?
Oh, I think we put those up in 2019. 2019. We built one for the Lake Region Electric Co-op in 2018, 2017, 2018. They've had one down there. And then when I retired from Jewel Energy, the company was bought by a utility in New York, and you know, that didn't really, we didn't go any further, and so I haven't built any since those, but that was just because I wanted to go fishing for a while and recharge my batteries, as they say in the business.
So is this the windmill part of it, or is that a 24-hour round-the-clock running?
Yep.
Or is it set at a certain run? Because you see them throughout, you know, they have one over in East Grand Fork in different areas. Some are shut down. So is it a 24-hour thing? And then I guess the second question is, if the power is not used within these communities, how far out will they go?
It goes until it's used. To the next community, probably. The one in East Grand Forks, that's a Danwin machine, and that was put up in 1986 in California and ran for 20 years in California. And then somebody sold it to the municipal utility in East Grand Forks for an outrageous number. And then they've been trying to keep it running since. But, I mean, you got to remember, a wind turbine runs more in 1 year than your car does in its lifetime. It runs 24/7 whenever the wind blows. And so if that machine over there is stopped, it's probably because he's flat wore out and they just need to get new parts for him. But that machine was built in 1986, and I know because I saw it go up in Palm Springs. And then they moved it out here, I don't know, it was 10, 15 years ago. I can't remember exactly when it was. But it's that's probably why it doesn't run. I mean, they're just machines too. But the difference between that technology and the technology today is that these modern machines, we watch every component. We watch thermally, listen to the bearings, we listen to everything operational, every moving part, and we track it through a computer. It's called condition monitoring. And so we try to catch things before they do break, and you maintain them and take care of them. And we have a very healthy maintenance budget on all the turbines. I think we spend $60,000, $70,000 a year just to keep the scheduled maintenance going on them. And so that technology is like, you know, not quite a Model A, but pretty close in car terms.
Thank you.
And so, sorry,
ahead, Christie.
Mayor. So all repairs to the turbines and the solar panels are all done then by your company, is that correct?
Do you take care of all the maintenance on?
Yes, yes, we do. We take care of all the maintenance. Actually, GE does. It's under warranty through GE. And the solar, there's no moving parts in that, so there is no maintenance on those other than we kind of keep the weeds down around the fences and stuff like that. But there's no real mechanical. But the wind turbine, like I said, we have about a $60,000 a year budget for maintenance. And then GE has a warranty, and then once their warranty is up, we buy an extended warranty that covers all of the major components through an insurance policy. So they work and they run. And there's a reason why the planet Earth, the wind energy is the largest generation resource of new generation on the planet. It's because it works. This isn't new to the rest of us. I mean, it's been out there for a long time. Like I said, I built the first wind farm on the Buffalo Ridge in 1986. So it's not like this is the first time.
So as far as putting this on a piece of land, just talking with Robert and Greg and Amy and even Brandon, we're thinking that we can put it on a few acres out by the lagoons.
That's what I was thinking, the Kreisberg property, if we could stick it out there, it'd be perfect.
So, but it's close to Otter Tail's lines and all we're doing is supplying the land. They take care of the technical piece to hook the power or whatever into Otter Tail. That's got enough, we have no cost in this at all.
Mr. Mayor, Brandon couldn't be here tonight, but his only comment on that was that is the direction you would have to expand lagoons if you needed to at some point. That was his only comment on that particular land. And then we do have a cash farm lease on that. We'd have to understand just when we start looking at that, how that would impact that, and if the city as the landlord terminated any portion of that, there'd be some buyout back to the farmer.
How many acres is out there?
Oh, I can't remember.
There's gotta be quite a few.
There's quite a few.
I just looked at the land lease, I wanna say it was almost 90. Corky, does that sound right? I think it was about 89. I'm not sure that all of that would fall into that, but I think that's what the cash farm lease covers.
And you need how many acres?
About
Well,
12.
The turbine takes, okay, so the turbine pad itself is 60-foot square, but most of it's underground. It's just the cement tube sticking up. And so when we do the calculations on this project, the solar takes about 10 acres, and then the turbine takes about 1/3 of an acre.
Okay.
But then you've got setbacks. You've got to be so far from a road and so far from this, and so far from that under the rules. And so, but the actual land that's used is about 10 acres, a little bit over 10 acres.
There should be plenty out there.
So there's, it's really no cost to the city, is what you're saying, but is there any, other than doing a good thing for the environment, what's the benefit for Crookston? Is there any?
Money to
We get lease.
Lease money to go to economic development for 20 years.
Has there ever been such a thing as negotiating with the local power grid to maybe get some discounts on power to the city of Crookston? Has that ever been, does that ever happen?
Otter Tail used to give some deals years ago, like when the arena was here and stuff, they used to give some pretty good deals on some of that stuff.
Well, good luck dealing with
Right.
Otterdale, I think. I mean, they're huge.
Yeah.
I basically, like Dan says, they sell for 4 cents a kilowatt, and Otterdale charges what, prime rate or whatever it is.
Yeah, you can ask, but I wouldn't hold my breath because you'll probably turn blue. I mean, it would be good if they did. It would be very community-wise.
Because then that would, I think if they did something like that, that would be an incentive for communities to do this, and then the residents of, say, Crookston could benefit in the fact that they got this happening in their community, and they're getting a discount on their electrical bill.
Yeah, that's right. I agree 100% with that. And if
So-
it was up to me, I'd do that.
Right.
But I guess what I'm looking for tonight is just a consensus to move forward with this project.
I would like to explore this a little bit more before making any kind of decision. I'd like to talk with Red Lake Falls and find out what they have, their experience has been, maybe even with Warren, but it would be nice to actually have some better understanding of the business model and just a little bit more than just a couple pages of
Red Lake Falls
PowerPoint.
doesn't have anything to do with it other than the fact that it's a mile outside of town. When I did that project, I basically spent $10 million of our own money to put that in the ground because it was one of the first ones of that hybrid technology that we developed. I probably 3 or 4 years working with GE to develop the technology. And so, but Red Lake Falls, the reason why that's at Red Lake Falls is because that's where I live. That's why it's there. It had nothing to do, this is a whole different program from the standpoint, the impact investors that are doing this program had nothing to do with the original one at Red Lake Falls. But I mean, you could talk to the mayor, Alberto Rude, they think it's great. And it looks like they have a factory moving into town because they see a source of long-term low-cost energy outside of that community. And that can attract any business. When you have
I'm not trying to argue with you. I would just like to have a little bit more of an informed opinion than just rushing into making a decision.
No problems.
So what, is there any issue with people living close to these turbines with any type of noise issue?
No, well, they're specifically cited to, under the rules, there's noise limit rules, there's setback rules, there's all that stuff through the state permitting process, or the county permitting process, whoever has the jurisdiction. But there's a set defined amount of things that happen. And you gotta remember, these turbines, this technology was developed in Europe. I mean, they're ahead of the curve technologically from this. And so they don't have Polk County. They're stacked in there like cordwood. And so these machines have to be designed to be able to pass all of the DBA rules and the noise rules and all of that stuff.
So one other question, when you say like businesses moving in can experience low-cost energy, if Otter Tail Power is going to charge what they charge, how do they experience the low-cost energy from the turbines?
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe you guys could go to Otter Tail and say, hey.
Well, no, I'm just wondering how that low cost transfers to that business coming into town.
As a wholesale power supplier, I can't tell Otter Tail, or I can't say you should do that.
I know that, but you just said that up in Red Lake Falls, there's this business thinking about coming there, and one of the reasons why is because low-cost power. So I'm wondering how they're getting that low-cost power.
Well, they can see that it is low-cost power, and they think, I mean, if you look at, like I said before, you're producing commercial-scale power, energy and capacity, winter and summer power, with no fuel, no emissions, no waste, no water, and no transmission costs. And those are the 5 drivers that drive our costs up every year. And so if those aren't there, logically speaking, your power should not increase. It should stay close to where it is. And if Otter Tail adopts, if more of these go into the Otter Tail system, hopefully that will change the dynamics, because technically they're only required, they're a monopoly. We have no choice. We have to buy our power from Otter Tail. And in exchange for that, they are required to be regulated to only earn so much return on investment. So they can't gouge the public just because you have to buy something from them. And so if their power costs go down because this stuff starts coming into their system and keeping their costs down, it's going to be harder for them to go to the regulators and say, we want a rate increase because this stuff is costing us more money. They have no argument there. And so that's the idea. And the other thing is that the idea that the impact fund has got on this is the foundation for low-cost transportation fuel. And you start looking at that side of the equation where we pay $5 a gallon for gas, and my electric car, I can drive it around 250 miles on $5 worth of electricity. And so all of that stuff adds up when you have this kind of energy resource in your neighborhood.
Your Honor, I would like to recommend that we move forward on this proposal and do some more research on it.
That's fine.
I just want to see if there's a consensus by the council to move forward with this. I'd like to see this on the regular agenda in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So you're just more or less asking for
Remo-
continue looking into.
Move forward, yeah.
Well,
I guess I'd like to see it move forward, but I'd also like to have this guy look at the property that we have and see if that will work.
they've been out there.
Are they?
Yeah,
Okay.
we looked
Been
around.
out there.
Mr.
We came to the city first and said, hey, we're gonna put this out here somewhere.
Yeah.
Do you wanna look at doing it here?
Yeah.
Because if we can keep those rent dollars in the city,
Right.
it's a value to you guys. It's gonna add another $500,000.
If you looked at that property, does that seem like that would work for you?
From what we can tell, it looks pretty good.
And you won't need the whole works, though, will you?
What's that?
You don't need the whole works, though, do you?
No.
See,
No,
so
no.
then like you talk about lagoon and stuff, there should still be room out there for some expansion if we ever need it.
I don't know how much room is needed to expand a lagoon, so
I don't either.
I can't speak to that.
Lagoons would probably be on the other side of the river, and I don't know if we wanna do that either, you know?
Yeah, so where we're at in this process right now is that we're in the siting process. And so we look to find where's a good site, applicable site where you're not on top of somebody's house,
Right.
you've got access to the grid, you've got you check a few boxes. And once we establish that, then we can be more specific about where it's gonna go and how it's gonna go. And we thought, well, we would talk to Dale and the city first and see, can we keep this rent dollars in our community?
Yeah.
Because other than that, it's gonna go out to a farmer somewhere.
I think we should
Is
move
there
forward.
any other cities
There's nothing
that
wrong with that.
you have worked with?
What's that?
Is there any other cities that you have worked with that we can speak to?
Are there any other cities you've worked with that we could speak to? Christy asked.
No, well, I mean, you're the first ones, actually. I mean, the city of Warren, you can call Shannon Mortensen at the city of Warren. She's the city administrator there. She's on the municipal utility board. So, yeah,
Mr.
This is a brand new program. I mean, these guys just put together, they got a pool of money that I don't even want to, it's embarrassing to even talk about. That they want to do something and they want to do rural economic development and clean energy. And Bill Ford is part of the program because they want to get clean, low-cost energy out there so we all buy their Ford F-150s.
Just a quick
There you
question
go.
on the way this works or whatever, as far as, can you service the industrial park, business that we have in town before you send it to Otter Tail? So the Crookston businesses would benefit most from this?
Well, because they're a regulated monopoly, they're the only ones that can sell you power under the rules of that status. I mean, and you know, that's kind of historical baggage for us all. I mean, when the system was built, when there was no electricity out here, in order for the money to build the power plants, they had to have a market. And so they gave Otter Tail, the towns, the REAs started the co-ops, and they got Mincota Power to be the supplier for that, and that was the system that was developed. But they were all guaranteed a service territory, and that's historically the way it's been. And until we change that, a lot of states have what they call open access, to where you can buy power from whoever you want. There's a plethora of different suppliers if you go out towards the East Coast and some parts of the West. You have options, and so if you were an open access market, you could do that. You could say to the city of Crookston, say, we want to buy our power from that. We don't want to buy it from that, and you could do that. But in our world of being a regulated monopoly service territory, we have to deal with what we got. And so the only thing we can do is build systems that are lower cost providers and hope that they do enough of them to be able to get a handle on our long-term costs.
Mr. Jewell, if we have this on the agenda on the 28th, can you get me the updated contract? Because we'll have to get that through city attorney review and then before the council to consider that on the community support?
Yeah.
Or sponsor, I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
I would recommend, let's
And
move forward.
when you say the contract, it's really, basically, we're just saying, we're going to give you $25,000 a year.
I saw the draft contract and there's much more in it than that.
What's that?
There's much more in it than that. And that will be a public document that only this governing body can agree to enter into.
Right.
So we're gonna need to have that, we need to have that ready so we can get it to city
That's fine.
attorney and go back.
Whatever, yeah. Again, it's not a contract from the standpoint.
Let's call it
We're
an
not asking
agreement.
for anything.
But you are asking for the signature of the city and there are stipulations on what,
I'm asking for what?
an agreement. You gave me a draft contract. And there's some stipulations in there that is important for the governing body to know, and they'd have to authorize us to sign that.
Yeah, but technically, it's not a contract, because a contract is, I'll give you this if you give me that.
Let's call it an agreement.
Okay, it's an agreement.
There's terms
And
that.
to let you know that we're willing to give you $25,000 a year for nothing.
Right, so we just need to get, if we could get the paperwork going so we can get it through city attorney and get it finalized so we can get it on the agenda.
Yeah,
Yep, no problem.
let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
Sounds good.
Okay,
move
thank
forward.
thank you, Dan.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
You're gonna take a vote on it?
No,
Just
just needed consensus to.
consensus?
Yep.
if any of you want to come over to Dale, knows how to get hold of me, you can come over and give you the things next where you can see
But be careful that you're not gathering as a quorum or we'll have to notice you.
I
Which
know,
we can do.
Delane mentioned about wind, I was out at that, solar wind power out on that piece of property, and those turbines are like a whisper.
Yeah.
I was amazed, so. All right, thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. This brings us to the agenda. Does anyone wish to remove anything from tonight's agenda?
Your Honor, under the regular agenda, item 9.10, there was a clerical error and a new copy of the ordinance is in front of everyone, and I will update a copy on the city's website as well.
Okay, thank you.
9.1.
Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I'll make that motion, Your Honor.
Thank you, Clayton. Second?
Second.
By Dawn, thank you. Discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Ved Bratton,
Aye.
Melby,
Aye.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt.
Aye.
Okay, this brings us to the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to remove anything from the consent agenda? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
I'll make that motion, Your Honor.
Thank you, Delane. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Steve. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Bed Breton,
Aye.
Melby,
Aye.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt.
Aye.
Okay, no public hearings, regular agenda. Ashley.
Yes, Your Honor. Item 9.01 is a resolution to approve and accept the donation from the Crookston Baseball Association. $10,000 goes to the Park and Recreation baseball and softball programs, $20,000 goes to the Senior Legion Ball Program, and $8,000 for the Junior League Ball Program, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Thank you, Joe. Is there a
Second.
second? Don? Is that right?
Yep.
Discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Ved Breton,
Aye.
Melby,
Aye.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 9.02 is a resolution to approve the Crookston Sportscenter Blue Line Arena lease, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion, Your Honor.
Thank you, Clayton. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Tom. Discussion, Jake, would you like to fill in a little bit?
Your Honor, while he's making his way up, just to recap, we did send a letter when we did the off-season ice agreement with the Blue Line Club. Last year, we kept those terms the same, but we did send them a letter at that time, just letting them know that we'd be working through that lease agreement with them. And they did, as Jake and possibly Corkey will explain to us, work together with Jake and the city attorney to get some terms lined out. I just wanted to remind everybody that, you know, we kind of started talking about this back in September, so they were prepared and we could work through to make this lease more consistent in the terms and the form that we have with the UMC and the school district. You'll see some more similarities in there.
Will he highlight the changes that have happened from this, or?
I am not sure, but I bet if he doesn't, Corkey Reynolds would jump up and give us a recap.
Sure.
Thanks, Jake.
All right. So, like Amy said, there's been some changes to this agreement. This agreement is actually a lease agreement. It's a rental that we are put forward to the Blue Line Club. So they will be responsible for the Blue Arena itself. So cleaning, maintenance, stuff like that, locker rooms, bathrooms. The only thing that they're not gonna be responsible for is the ice. So I will have a full-timer, a seasonal there to just resurface the ice in between their programs. We came to an agreement for this spring. We wanted to do a three-year term with them. Every year, we don't have to come back to this. We can just let it ride for 3 years and see how it goes. This first spring time, the only thing they asked for in negotiation was for a $2,200 instead of a $3,000 a week payment. The reason being is because they felt like they didn't have enough time to program for the 6 weeks. And it's a new agreement, so they wanted to start to $3,000 in the fall, and that would be the final price from the fall through 2024. Within this agreement, the city or myself, the Park and Rec, has 90 days to, I have 90 days to get rid of the lease in a sense. So like if in a year or two, I look back at our September payments and they've increased dramatically. Well, I would probably want to go back and figure out a new price for them weekly, right? So Corkey and I sat down with Mr. Butt, Scott Butt, and then we also sat down with some Blue Line Club members, and we all came to agreement that a 90-day would be correct and fine. So, Corkey, you got anything to add?
What was the price of the lease before for the ice?
$2,150.
Yep, $2,150 a week, $2,150 a week. And it would, yep, go ahead. And it was just an agreement, so the city ourselves, as far as Park and Rec, maintained the facility, cleaned it and all that stuff. So the moral is it's a rental agreement with the Blue Line Club. They'll be responsible for the Blue Arena, so.
The city's totally out of the Blue Arena then, they can't use it for any other event, or?
No, this is for a set period of time.
Yep.
The Blue Arena will be rented to the Blue Line Club from essentially April 1st through May 20th of each of the 3 years, and then for the month of September, essentially each of the 3 years. The difference this time around is this is an actual lease that puts some responsibilities on the Blue Line Club for being in charge of the arena during the duration of their lease. They'll do the cleaning. We will supply a Zamboni and an operator. During the time that the Zamboni operator is not Zamboniing, he or she will be cleaning, painting. In the past, it's been more of the Blue Line Club saying, we need people to clean up, we need people to take care of the locker rooms. It's a more of an arm's length agreement, and they were accepting of the fact that the cost went up, because we said we need to attempt to recover some of our costs. We're not charging you the entire cost. You'll get the Zamboni operator, Zamboni, as part of the contribution of the city. They were very understanding of that. We are not giving up the Blue Arena. It's only for those durations that they have it.
Has there, in the event of like the maintenance, the cleaning of the stuff, has that ever been an issue in the past that you?
No, I don't know. There hasn't been anything.
Well, in the past, I think it's, Park and Rec.
Yeah, Park and Rec, yes, we have done it.
So
what was your question? I'm
So
sorry.
the question is if like something needs to be addressed and it turns out one of our city staff has to clean it or do something during that, what, is there any chargebacks to the Blue Line Club?
Not to my knowledge, no.
I think Jake would agree, and probably any of our department heads, we would always try to approach that first as just a sit down with probably the board member, or if they have someone designated be in charge of that. And I think with our community groups, and especially, same thing really could happen if it was a high school game and, maybe the locker room wasn't picked up as agreed upon. I think we would just sit down with the leaders of that group and sort it out that way. And I wouldn't anticipate any problems with that. But then we do have that agreed upon lease to go back on, just to review terms and make sure everyone's clear on responsibilities.
What rink do you put the turf in? Is that
The gold rink, yep.
Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please? Thank you.
Bud Brunton.
Aye.
Melby.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Kressel.
Aye.
Platt.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
One other question, what do we got left then? We already got UMC's done, that's a 3-year, this is a 3-year,
I think,
and just the school district,
school
basically?
district, I feel like that's been done since I've been here. I can check that. I
was
think
curious,
they're all 3 probably within the last 1 or 2 years now on those leases. Was that your question?
Yeah, I
Okay.
just see what we had left as far as that goes.
They're 3-year terms. He was asking, I think, when they were each renewed. And I think even school district has been done since I've been here. Okay. Yeah, and I'd be happy to send those out to you guys too, just the terms on those.
Okay, thank you, Amy.
Item 9.03 is a resolution to approve the execution of satisfaction for the Rehabilitation Loan Program, Flexible Installment Loan, Note, and Rehabilitation Loan Program Mortgage on behalf of Rosetta J. La Rochelle.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So move.
Thank you, Wayne. Second? Second, Steve. Discussion. Corkey, you gonna fill us in a little bit on this, please?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is something that was discovered that probably should have been done many years ago. But this is one of those loans where if you lived in your home for 5 years, part of the loan was forgiven, the other part was actually a payment, reduced interest rate, all the payments have been made right up to date. In fact, this was probably paid off 3 or 4 years ago at least. It came to light when a financial institution contacted the city and said, we see there are these mortgages on, we're interacting with this particular woman, where are the satisfactions? She says she's paid. And we checked, and she has in fact done everything she should have, so we're executing a mortgage satisfaction with your consent.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion?
What, I mean, we've done quite a few of these here in the last couple of years. Is there a way we can go about to make sure that, you know, this, I think, dated back to 2008, for Pete's sakes. That's why I'm kind of nervous that got lots of stuff out there yet that, how do we go about?
That is entirely possible. We will have to probably explore, I would say, we're gonna have to look at how they've been tracked. I'm not sure if it's just paper files, and that might be part of the challenge, but we can certainly explore that and
I
see.
just hate to have the city being a holdup for somebody wanting to refinance because we didn't do our job as far as satisfactory or mortgage or whatever. I think that's just bad business for us, and I just like to see if there's a way we can figure out how to make sure that they're all taken care of, or what needs to be taken care of is.
Doesn't any of this stuff come out when they do our audits? You know, because if these guys are paying, people are paying money back, we should have some record someplace that we're getting paid from somebody.
I don't think they're searching specifically to see if we have filed a satisfaction after the completion of one of these. As far as I know, that has not. I've read several of the audit notes back many years. I haven't seen that. I imagine part of the challenge is probably they're in paper files and not uploaded into a tracking system like our financial software. We can check that out and see
Was this the same kind of deal we had in the past ones with this deal where
Yeah.
it came from another mortgage company or
usually
whatever,
found in
and
like a title search probably, or some kind of real estate
you'd
transaction is
almost
where they've.
have to go back to this whole program and go through the whole thing to see if there's whatever it is. But okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Van Brunton,
Aye.
Melby,
All right.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Erickson,
All right.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt.
Aye.
Okay, a motion carries.
Item 9.04 is a resolution to approve the execution and satisfaction rehabilitation loan program, deferred loan repayment agreement, and mortgage on behalf of Rosetta J. La Rochelle.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion, Your Honor.
Thank you, Clayton. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Discussion. So, Corkey, this is just satisfaction that the loan's been.
This is the second one. She had 2 low interest rate loans. This is just the second one. It applies to the same property.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Van Brunton,
Aye.
Melby,
Aye.
Jurdy,
Sorry. Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 9.05 is a resolution approving upgrades to Carn Field Stadium lights and electric control panel, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this
I'll
resolution?
make that motion, Your Honor.
One by Don, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Steve. Discussion. Jake, you gonna fill us in again a little bit, please?
I'll do my best. So I was approached by the Baseball Association this past fall. There's some work that needs to be done out at Carn. The lights out there are not good. I've read the report that I got, and so those lights are in it's like a pink color, and it's not in good shape. What they describe here is The ceiling is loose, the base hands of everything is loose. They're not in really good shape. So, they're depreciated and, they're near the end of their useful lamp life. So the Baseball Association is going to donate $10,000 to relamp or put new lights in the stadium lightings, to clean them and to get a good inspection on them. And then with that said, the other part of the project, which the Parks and Rec would like to pay for, would be a new electrical box. It's a cabinet. Right now, that box sits on the third base dugout, and when you're turning on lights, you're actually opening up the door to turn on every single light, and they recommend not doing that. It's very unsafe. So they would like to come in and they put a whole new cabinet in, and it's going to be pretty simple. It's just a on-off switch. Pretty much is all you're doing is pushing from the outside. And then with that, we're going to move the water fountain that's right there. So it's probably about 10 feet away right now. We'll cut it out, move it down a little bit, repipe it, and then we'd like to fix that whole structure where you're standing in those lights when you turn on the lights at the electrical box. Because right now, depending on if it rains or in the spring when there's games, you could be standing in ankle-high water turning on lights. So the projects that we are doing are going to really fix up Carnfield a lot. So.
Mr. Mayor, we do have in the resolution that the city's portion would come from the reserve fund for Highland Park Development, and there is about $37,500 available in that fund. So we really looked at that and felt like that was a good use, especially to contribute with the Baseball Association covering so much of that, and then being able to upgrade the safety aspect of that electrical box, and then our crews being able to do a lot of that work as far as moving the water fountain and getting some of that area fixed back up.
I know, I
Are we
remember like
taking
5
multiple?
years ago, they had to deal with that. I mean, we stuck a lot of money into that box, and they said it was a 2-year fix at best, and I think that's been 6 or 7 years. I mean, it definitely was due 6 years ago to be replaced, and safety issue wise.
Was it said that they put a new box in, is there in need of new wiring, underground wiring for it, or?
Not that my recollection, no underground wiring. To what I read, everything like that, it's still good. It's just the structure of the box and, opening it up and flicking on all your breakers is not recommended, so.
So then it's LED lighting again?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Are you getting multiple bids on the project, or?
I've only got the one bid from Musco Lighting, that came to me. That's all I have, so I don't have any multiple.
Can we get another one, or are they the only one that does that, or?
I guess I don't have an answer. Corkey, do you have an answer for that?
I do. Musco Lighting is really the premier lighting for this. The Baseball Association has dealt with them in the past. They are excellent, and they come with years and years of experience. They have the lights themselves. In my opinion, if you went out for bids, you might have to get bids for both the lights and then the installation. This is all done by one.
So is that on their contract? I was reading through that. It said troubleshoot and repair remaining outages. That means you have issues down the road, they come and repair. We don't do it.
Yes. You can actually purchase, what would you say, an extended warranty to cover those kind of things. But for a period of time, they do come, they take care of them.
That'd be something to look at. I'd like to see us, because I know we've had it costs big money to have even anybody come and look at those things.
Oh,
I know
for
we
sure.
stuck 15, 20 grand in that light system in the last 10 years, I bet, so it's be probably worth something to look into to.
Certainly, we can do that.
When you said a period of time, any idea what that time is?
I don't recall off the top of my head, but I know there is some. And it may be aesthetic only, but these lights that Musco has, they are the lights that were at the Field of Dreams night. They are really good, and that's their product. And just from playing baseball, when you get a regular lighting system, as the ball goes up, it hits kind of a dead spot where you can't see it as well. These lights take care of all that and maintain uniformity. They're LED. We'll all be long gone when these get problematic.
All right, thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Ved Bratton.
Aye.
Melby.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Kressel.
Aye.
Platt.
Aye.
Item 9.06 is a resolution to approve the purchase of land forfeited to the state of Minnesota, parcel number 82.00129.00, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Clayton. Discussion. Corkey again? Getting your steps in tonight.
Yeah, I gotta crack 10,000. We didn't walk far enough this morning. You'll see that these two items, 9.06 and 9.07, they link together. This is the property of the old Otter Tail coal-fired power plant. Just a brief history, so you recall this. Some time ago, we had purchased these properties, or given the use of these properties by the state of Minnesota for the use of a right-of-way. That was checked, and we didn't really use it for a right-of-way. We used it for dumping snow, basically those kind of things. So the state said, you can't keep doing this. If you recall, maybe a year to 2 years ago, we had the same issue. We had to reconvey it to the state. Once it's reconveyed, then the state assesses it, gives it a land value, and can offer it to the city for that amount of money. So the bigger parcel, I believe, is $25,000. The smaller parcel is $5,000. The intended use, again, would be for disposal or piling of snow. We were at the Planning Commission, had a good discussion, and the Prues are here tonight. They were there. They expressed some concerns about how it had been managed in the past, gave their ideas. They have met with Brandon Carlson, our Public Works Director. They've expressed their concerns, and I believe, if I represent this accurately, they were satisfied with the representations, and they are agreeable to that property being purchased by the city with the understanding snow disposal would be taken care of on that, and they're here tonight, so. Is that a fair characterization? Okay. Any other questions?
Somebody had discussed this when this first came out for me, is to make sure that there wasn't anything in there when they tore out that plant or whatever, that they didn't leave something toxic or any issues with the land itself as far as anybody knows. I mean,
We have not done any on behalf of the city. There's been no indication of that from the state, so I don't know, but there's been no indication that we've seen.
Unless you're planning on redeveloping that, you really don't have to touch it, do you?
Well, it would depend on what might have been out there. Certainly, if there were known hazardous materials, you'd have to address it, but none of that has ever been brought forward by anyone that I'm aware of.
So the substation that sits there, would that be rentable income for the city? Or is that just a?
I don't know. I haven't been asked to look at that. I don't have any idea.
Not sure.
That's part of our,
Or is that city?
no, because it's Otter Tail, ain't that part of our agreement with?
Oh, the,
You talking about that little building there?
No, the substation they put that.
On the
They took
far
them out
end.
at one point, then they put them all back.
Yeah.
Because they rerouted some lines or something.
Franchise fee. Ain't that-
possibly, we'd probably have to explore that.
I would suggest
little
that
bit.
if that's a real legitimate concern, we should look at that. But the purchase of these properties was intended for the disposal of snow. It's been a good dumping site. We've had some issues with debris. We've had some issues with concrete. Those have been articulated by the Prues, and I think there's an understanding by the Public Works Director, Brandon Carlson, that needs to be addressed.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I may, the proposed funding source for, I'm going to go ahead and speak for both of those parcels is municipal land and building. And again, even considering, we had plugged some dollars in the 2022 budget for some potential library repairs and exploring the option of purchasing the land that the red barn sits on. Even with those kind of earmarked, there is over $600,000 remaining in those municipal land and building funds.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Bed Bratton,
Aye.
Melby,
Aye.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 9.07 is a resolution to approve the purchase of land forfeited to the state of Minnesota, parcel number 82.02352.00, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Delane, second.
Second.
Second by Joe, thank you. Discussion, once again, Corkey did tie them both together, so it's there.
I have a question, is this across the tracks from the big part, is that correct?
Across from where?
What was the I'm sorry, what was the question?
So the big parts where the thing is this across like where that little railroad track goes?
Yep.
Right, that little piece there?
Yeah, from,
They're
yeah,
adjacent to each other, right?
there's two parcels in that long.
I was trying to look that up, I thought it was, so it's kind of the southeast one, basically. Southeast?
Yeah,
These two parcels are side by side.
Oh, follow.
One is large, if you come up South Main and you get to the top of the crest and you would turn left to go where the old Lauderdale building was, these are two parcels, one right next to the other, they're not across the road.
Okay, but they're southeast, this is the little one southeast of the big one then?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the
Yes,
same.
yes, on the same side.
further discussion. Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Bed Bratton,
Aye.
Melby,
Aye.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 9.08 is a resolution to approve the City of Crookston redistricting ward boundaries, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this
I'll
resolution?
make that motion, Your Honor.
Thank you, Don. Second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Clayton. Discussion. Amy, you want to give a brief?
Yes, I would.
Thank you.
I'm gonna kind of give a little recap on our process, planning commission, and then Corkey's going to give us a little bit more information just on some of the criteria that we needed to review. And I'll try to also recap, there was really good discussion at our planning commission meeting, and I'll try to recap some of that. So one thing that this particular process maybe had a little bit of a crippling impact on the city is we no longer have the software to create our base maps. We used to have that. I believe the employee that used that is no longer with us. The data was not saved. So we had to contract with Widseth to get our base maps recreated. They pulled down our census data for us from the 2020 census to get current populations in our ward boundaries as they exist today. And then we had to really sit down and look at, on a paper map with a marker, at how we could do some variations. And some of the things we talked about in planning commission is some of the wards that needed changed were the farthest ones apart. So you can't, of course, grab from up here and just move down here. And that kind of creates a little circle effect. So if you change and take away here and you're trying to fill down here, you have to try to be equitable. We have today to show you how we balanced the voting age people in each ward, and then we've also got a total population age. And why that's important is we won't do this again for 10 years. So someone that is 10 years old today is not filling into your voting age, but will be as it goes on. So it's important to look at both aspects of that. What you see up here now is our wards as they exist today. We were out of balance, if you will, after this most recent election. We're down about 400 people in our population, and certainly some of our community patterns have changed. where people are locating, maybe where they're moving to. Some other important factors to look at. We can see some of our wards are really large in area. And if you look at the purple section, that very bottom chunk looks really large, and you think, well, why couldn't you just grab that and move it over to Ward 5, which is the white? And I think that count had 15, like a population of 15 in it. So a less densely populated area, maybe some more of your business. So those were some things. While there was a little section up in the red that had 151 in it. So really had to pay attention to how we were moving some things around. Chad, would you bring up for me the next map? Thank you. This one, probably the most significant and obvious visible change there is the white ward, which is Ward 5, is now shown crossing the river. And that was really a tough discussion point during Planning Commission because we're not used to that, right? And if we look over in our purple in our Ward 1, we can see that is crossing the river. And one thing we really had to talk about is we may not feel comfortable with that because we have some natural geographical boundaries, and we really did try to be respectful of those and use those while still balancing out those population. But the fact of the matter is, I think since our 2000 census, we are down about 9.8% in our population, and then we do have developments happening in areas that are different for us than we've had in the past. So really we talked a lot about that, how that impacts neighborhoods and whether a neighborhood loses its neighborhood feel because of a ward boundary. That's not my personal position. We had a planning commissioner who made a comment that, you know, her neighborhood she considers actually encompasses kind of 2 ward boundaries, and had other good comments that when there was some concern about certain wards that maybe had historically been used to doing some of the river and flood work, that no one really felt that anyone was not going to come out and help where they're needed in a high water event, even if those ward boundaries changed. Talked a little bit about changing your ward boundaries very well could lead to discussions about our emergency operations centers for each ward. Do those still make sense? I'm not suggesting they don't, but that certainly could lead to other discussions that might make sense more if a ward boundary changes. So none of those things that have been set or established can't be talked about as we work through some of these things. Important factors to consider our timeline. I mentioned to you we did have a bit of a delay because we weren't able to sit down with our IT group and produce these maps ourselves. So we are on a tight timeline. We have sent some preliminary data over to the county, who's reviewed it as recently as this evening for us. They have to, I just learned in an email, it's important to them to understand the numbers that are moving in and out of certain wards because that can or possibly could impact the election process for a county commissioner. So all of these things play together. We need to have these decided upon and certified to our county by March 29th, and then they send them on to the Secretary of State. So there's some hard deadlines there that thankfully this only happens once every 10 years. It is a lot of work, and you could probably make 1,000 renditions of a map, and with every single one there will be someone that will have some personal feelings about it, and that does happen. Right now this is the proposed map that you see in front of you. It was moved forward by a vote of 4-1 at the Planning Commission for your approval. None of these boundaries, and this is not something we considered beforehand, but afterwards checked, it does not affect any elected official currently. If it had, state statute does allow that council person to finish their term in their ward, but that did not impact that. Thought that was important for you to know. I probably left out some things, but one, I would be happy to answer any questions, but Corkey may have some additional things to talk to you about, just some of the criteria that the state provides on how we.
Is there such things as interactive maps, so when you move a boundary, it automatically totals the?
I believe there are. We kind of, Chad, is that a software possibility that we could have?
That requires that we have our base map brought back in-house for development.
Okay.
And then we need the proper mapping software licenses to be able to build a map like that.
Is it a problem since it's done every 10 years? The mapping system that we could buy today may not be.
There's some industry standard software. The one I'm most familiar with is from a company called ESRI that's capable. I believe that's the package that they use to put these maps, these static maps together for us. But it is capable of creating dynamic maps. The issue we have right now is that we do not have an up-to-date version of the base map in our possession.
So I mean, is that cost so high that we?
We honestly did not have time to explore. We got on such a deadline. I will tell you that what the WIDSEF partnered with us to help us, they were able to, once we sent them kind of even a drawn with marker map, he was very quickly able to turn around and produce the map with that different overlay for us and with totals within that boundary. So I think the technical answer is yes, absolutely. What it would cost in time, we just haven't explored that yet.
And they were very good at WIDSEF. I mean, we asked them if they could create these maps within a period of hours, and they were able to do that.
Would it be worth our while to have just WIDSEF do this as needed, or since they already have kind of a base, start with it?
Wait.
You would only have updated census data with every 10 years, but if you needed to look at something particular, I think they could certainly contract that for you. You just kind of tell them what you're needing to see, and they could turn that around quickly for us, I think.
And as we prepared these options for the Planning Commission, the state gives us at least 3 criteria that we need to look at. First is you want to attempt as best you're able within your wards to have equal population bases. So at first, we took the voters, and we tried to equalize the number of voters in each potential ward. Then secondly, we were given total census data, and we attempted to equalize all of the individuals in those wards. That was the first criteria that the state gives us to look at. Try to do that so that each ward has basically equal representation at this council. You don't want one ward with 600 and one with 1,800, because the 1,800 feels like we're underrepresented. So that's the first thing we looked at. The second thing we looked at, and the state says, is compactness. You want to try to make the wards as compact as possible. We're in a real unique situation in Crookston because we have the river, which doesn't lead to that very well, and the railroad tracks. So we tried to do that. The only one that we really have that is particularly unusual is Ward 6. I mean, they barely, physically they don't touch, but they're close enough. The rest of them are very compact. The last is contiguousness. You have to have them be touching if at all possible. You can't split them up and have half of Ward 3 and half of Ward 1 be Ward 4. So we had to look at that. Ashley was very helpful with this. Amy and I and Ashley sat down. We spent some considerable time trying to balance. We moved some from Ward 4 to 3, and we did that process. And we believe we came up with as good of alternative as we can, balancing those wards in population and in voter numbers.
Chad, could you zoom in for us on the legend on the top right?
Certainly.
As he's doing that, you can see your wards, and it's going to give you your total population and then your voter population, and the blocks are telling you how many blocks are within each ward. But just so you can see, we looked at an average. If you're looking at the population 18 plus, that average came out to be 958. That was kind of our goal. We were trying to not be too far off in any one ward from that. Your total population average is 1,247. So that's how we began and kind of tried to make sure that we weren't getting, that one was not too far under what the average would be and one wasn't too far over. And I think we got pretty close, comfortably close, at least as far as our staff group and then the Planning Commission felt on those.
Yeah, and the block numbers, just, you can see there's a big discrepancy there, but that doesn't matter. It's the number of voters and number of people in each ward. And we had a good discussion, as Amy has said, at the planning commission about that. One of the planning commissioners was concerned about the EOC and the flood potential and who would be walking the dikes and that kind of thing, but they were able to walk through that. And unlike major population centers, we did not have to consider a lot of demographic information. We were able to keep the wards the way they are with a pretty equal voter and population base. And I think we did a pretty good job considering what we had to do.
So the population is not necessarily voting population, just total population, right?
Right, under the population category in the map, that's the total population. It could be 1 day old and 99. The population 18 plus is the voter population.
Voting age, we don't know that they're all
Right.
Yeah, they don't always
registered,
vote,
but,
Right, okay.
yeah.
Yep, so we tried to balance those both equally as we could, but you can't get them exactly equal, but I think we did a good job at it, and any other questions?
Well, now after you change some of these wards, anybody that got their ward changed, did they get a letter or anything? so
They
that
will,
know that they got-
yes.
Yes.
The county notified us today that they will actually handle at the county level the notification of any voters that are impacted by the ward change.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it may impact the county commissioner election areas. That's why they need it by the 29th, so that they can make those calculations.
So can the county veto what you guys did?
I don't believe so. In the communication I got today, it really said that they're really at the mercy of the municipalities, and then that determines what each municipality within the county does, kind of determines if a county commissioner seat has to go on the general ballot.
Okay.
So, now,
And it
if
was-
I would say if they saw something that was really, really out of line, I don't know if, I'm sure there would be some weigh-in from the county to help get back on track and in that way.
And I believe we were really fortunate with how we worked through this, because East Grand Forks has not yet decided theirs, and they're on the 4th iteration for their community, and the deadline is fast approaching for them as well. So they're still working at it.
And then at this point, the poll locations won't change. Where a particular person may report to could possibly, and then they'll be notified of that, but we will have to recertify those polling places as part of the redistricting as well.
And for the
Is there any other concerns with any kind of disparities, either at the ward level or at the county level, with how we're currently dividing the wards?
I'm going to read between the lines a little bit, Christy, and I think what you're asking is, did we consider demographics? We did not pull that data down in our community. If you had, and I'll give you an example, in Kansas right now, the Kansas legislature is on the verge of being sued because they have split a county. In Wyandotte County, they're splitting it down the middle, and it could impact the ability of a congresswoman, a woman of color, to run again who represents a particular population. We really don't have an inner city core that if you split a neighborhood, you are diluting a particular population's ability to have a strong vote. We really chose to look at ours, and I believe I can speak factually that in the past, we have also looked at numbers I've seen. I have seen the past working documents. The census does provide a lot of that data, but as we mentioned earlier, we don't have the software right now to pull that down and analyze that. So we tried to look at ours by numbers and did not feel that any of these moves were splitting up a particular, we don't have where some bigger cities may have certain populations that really gather and have smaller communities within a community. We do not feel that our proposed map would be impacting any of that, but we don't have the access right now to pull that down and analyze that in that way, so that you will not see the demographics on this map. But no, we have not had any feedback either from our county partners that they have deemed anything to be troublesome or brought anything to our attention in that regard.
I guess the best advice that I can give is, whenever they get their letter from the county, hang on to it till this fall when you wanna vote.
Yes.
'Cause I
And
remember,
we're gonna do extra training too for our election judges. We have that a lot where somebody will come to a polling place and we tell them, politely that, the other polling location is where they need to go. So yes, our election judges will definitely be on high alert for that.
yep.
Okay, further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Bed Bratton,
Aye.
Melby,
Aye.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt.
Aye.
Okay, moving on.
Item 9.09 is a resolution calling for a public hearing with the respects to amending the city code, chapter 11, entitled Ward Boundaries, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Clayton. Is there a second?
I'll second, Your Honor.
Thank you, Christie. Discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I will just say, as part of the process, if the ward boundaries change, we have to update the legal description that's contained in our city code, and that's what the public hearing and then the following ordinance does for us as part of the redistricting process.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Ved Bratton,
Aye.
Melby,
Aye.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 9.10 is to introduce an ordinance of the city of Crookston, Minnesota, amending its city code, chapter 11, by changing section 11.01 ward boundaries, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Delane. Second?
Second.
Second by Steve. Thank you. Discussion?
There's no discussion on the introduction.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
No- On a roll here. No discussion or roll call. This is what, just like a first reading or what?
Yep, so this is to introduce the ordinance, and then once we have the public hearing and the public can come to speak their mind, then at the second and final reading, that can be the discussion.
All right, thank you. Okay.
Item 9.11 is a resolution to approve the contract and appoint the interim city administrator, Charles Corkey Reynolds, Your Honor.
Motion to approve this resolution.
I'll make that motion, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I'll
Don,
second it.
second
I'll second.
by Clayton. Discussion?
Guess I got one question. On the compensation part there, now we're gonna have Ryan and we're gonna have Darren too in there. Should there be anything for them?
We had not discussed that, and I thought, when we initially proposed that, we weren't sure if you were going to choose one interim. And so that, the model you see before you is just one interim, but they will be assuming some additional support roles, certainly for the department head team and then the interim city administrator. But we had not discussed or proposed additional compensation.
Further discussion? Hearing none, can I roll call, please?
Ved Bratton,
Aye.
Melby,
Aye.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Reports. Amy.
I'm up. I have a little list here. One, I think Nate's gone, but congratulations to Chief Seltzler and Deputy Chief Nelson. That's really exciting. I think we have a really wonderful leadership team, and we will all miss former Chief Biermeyer, but I think there's some really exciting things happening at the police department. I like that we get to do that publicly, and I think it's something we should celebrate when we have our internal candidates that can continue to lead us even after retirement. So congratulations to them. If you would please pass that on to Deputy Chief Nelson. Something exciting this week, I don't know if any of you saw it in the media, and it's been in the works for a little while. We did, with our partners at Polk County Public Health and SHIP, we have done the grand opening of a breastfeeding room at our Sportscenter. This actually came from a discussion. I was at dinner with a mother who has been attending events at our Sportscenter for many, many years through many of her children. And while our facilities welcome anyone that's comfortable to nurse their child right in the seats, they're really not very comfortable. We wanted a rocking chair where someone could sit and put their arms up in a quiet space. Sometimes little people need a quiet space to calm down and feed. There's a changing table. It's located right behind the press box, so close to restrooms, right on the main level. We do have some signage up. A press release has been sent out, but we're really excited about that. So spread the word, especially if you know someone that could use it, not just for moms, you know, maybe a dad would like a quiet place to go change a diaper that's clean and quiet. Really a push also to kind of normalize talking about breastfeeding. There is some discomfort even talking about it, saying it. We're gonna have signs up. It's okay to call it a lactation room if you want to, but just a place for parents to go. There's a little table. We're gonna have some toys donated by some parents. So if a mom has a little baby and a toddler, that they can all go in there, and there's a door that locks for some privacy. So we're proud of that, proud that we can offer that. Our staff at the arena put some hard work in. It used to be a storage room, so a lot of things had to be moved out. There's some electrical outlets in there, so we're proud of that. We're proud to be able to offer that to our community members and our visitors. We're gonna be putting that on the CSC website, so people coming to our community are aware that that's there, so wanted to share that with you. Little update on the corridor study. That is still moving along at the expected pace. We're right on schedule. We are meeting frequently with our consultants at SRF and MnDOT. We are meeting frequently with our staff team to plan. We have a community review panel meeting coming up in April. There will be a transition where Brandon is going to take maybe the point person for what we're calling our project management team, which includes our most of our staff, public works, our community development, finance, all those people that need to weigh in. And then Molly Stewart is our consultant at SRF, and she'll be taking on a little bit more heavier load on some of the public presentations. After that next community review panel meeting, there will be a public meeting. So for everyone to come, and that they are really finalizing some of the alternatives that will be brought before this body in July. So kind of be aware of that. We hope that all of you will be able to come to the public meeting. It will be in person. They'll have some alternatives up where people can answer questions, ask questions, tell us if they like or dislike something. And so that can be considered as they're further developed to bring to the governing body for consideration in July. And then this is my last regular city council meeting with you. So I just wanted to thank you again for just the time and some of the things that we've worked through together. I think we've accomplished some really great things at the city. I'm proud of the team that we have. I think there is a desire and a commitment to keep some of those things going. A lot of hard work went into planning our budget, both on the staff side and the governing body side, as we work through some of those challenges and getting that lined out. So I think that set some good goals and targets for staff to keep working towards as we work through the hiring process, which if we are on target with that will be in about June. So thank you again, and I will continue to help prepare things for the next meeting, and then Corkey will be leading you through that. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
Greg, anything?
No report tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. Jake?
Thank you, Your Honor. Council members. The ice show was this past weekend. I heard a lot of good things about it. A lot of kids participated. They put on a good show, and I just want to say thank you for all that participated and everyone that helped in getting that set up, and it was a good event. So thank you to everyone. The CSC, the gold rink is now turf. We currently have high school and baseball practicing in there. And then, I'm sorry, high school softball and baseball practicing this week. And then next week, the golf will start. We also have some rentals coming up, some birthday rentals. I rented the turf a couple days a week just to help with kids that want to come in and play, do ground balls, play catch, go in the cage, stuff like that. So I'm opening up to anyone that wants to come. The blue rink, we still have ice. Tonight we had our first 3-on-3 league for our 2013 to 2015 year old, or the years that they were born players. And Danielle Sylvester is taking the bull by the horns and running that. So thank you to her. Mike Enright also has some rentals this month before the Blue Line takes over. He's put a 2012-2013 spring hockey team together. They are currently going to start practice this week, twice a week. And then I believe there's about 6 to 8 games he's got scheduled for this weekend. So thanks to Mike. Event rink, we are done for the season. We ended on Sunday. We started taking ice out today. We're actually really ahead of the game. I was out there this evening, and they got a pretty good section done with just right all the way down to concrete. They're starting to push ice out pretty quick. So we have full timers during the day, and then I got some seasonal helping tonight or in the evenings. So next weekend will be the CYBA tournament, I believe. Excuse me for a sec. Yes, next weekend will be the CYBA tournament. So either possibly later this week, depending on when we get ice out and the floor clean, we'll start putting on the basketball court. If not this week, we'll start right away Monday morning to put the basketball floor down and get ready for that tournament. A couple more things here. Active Network, our meetings are almost complete. We actually have our last meeting next Wednesday, the 23rd, and we will be preparing to go live. So that's our go live meeting, which is very exciting. So the plan for that would be to have our fund finder ready by April 1st. That'll be online. And we are gonna send out flyers to the schools. And on the flyers, it's just gonna have what we're gonna offer for activities this summer. And then I'll have information on the new software program, how to register, stuff like that. Andrew and I talked today. We thought about putting a video together, just basic instructions on how to what website to go to, how to register, where to click, how to set up an account, just basic information to make it easier for the public. So that will be ready April 1st, and then we're still looking for summer employees. If you're looking for a good, fun summer job, come on down to the city hall to pick up an application, or you can find them on our website, the city website. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim, anything?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just gonna give a quick high water event update here, just to keep everybody on the same page on what we're doing here. We've already had 4 updates from the National Weather Service this year, and they've all haven't changed a whole lot. They've just fluctuated a foot here or there, but we're gonna, not much change from the first one. We're actually predicted to crest in mid-April around just a little bit over 20 feet. So that takes in account for normal precipitation. So couple things that of concern with that though is that the frost depth is quite deep and the thickness of the ice on our river is a little extreme, a lot more than normal. But we shouldn't have any issues if we don't get a lot of rain, so we're in pretty good shape. But with that level, Central Park will flood at about the 19-foot mark, so we're gonna end up with water in the park again. That's stuff we really can't handle or help. Public Works will go on 24-hour shift. When we get to the 16-foot mark, they'll be out there manning the pumps and checking the storm gates, which they do every year. The EOC committee will meet on about the 18-foot mark to determine if and when the main EOC will have to open or not. And they'll also determine if there's any dike walking that needs to be done. We'll have a lot better idea what's going on when the water starts to flow and the ice starts to crack up, and maybe see what moisture we have by then. The EOC committee who gets together to make these decisions is the EM director, fire chief, police chief, city administrator, and the public works director. We use the information that we do have in front of us to make those determinations on how high we are expecting the water to get. Just of note, Marshall, Kitson, Norman counties are all going to declare a state of emergency. I talked to the county emergency manager today, Polk County emergency manager, and he says it's too early for Polk County to declare right now with the current conditions we have. So we should be, I would have to believe we should be in pretty good shape. I'll be pulling the staff together on March 22nd, the EOC staff together, which consists of all the department heads and a few other key players to go through our Emergency Operations Center training. We have a lot of new staff on board, so we're just going to do a quick down and dirty training on there to give them an idea of what we need to do in the event we do have to open. CERT training for our community emergency response team, which is community members throughout the city, many representatives from each ward, and council persons will also be invited to come along and come to our meeting. That'll be on the March 23rd at 6:30 at the fire station. Most of you will be, well, all you will be contacted by your fire department ward rep here within the next, probably even this week, and some of you maybe already have. And we will go through the roles and what we would like some help from community members. And if you do know any community members that could help in a disaster or help out with just about any kind of large event that would overtake our emergency responders, we will be glad to have them invited down. And like I say, you will all be notified by your ward rep beforehand and invited to come down. That's all I got. Any questions on any of that?
Yeah, Tim, I've had a couple residents ask about, are we putting this out like on the website or anything like far as the flood predictions and stuff like that, or with the press? So like I said, I had a couple people concerned that they're not hearing anything, or I don't know if they're following.
I guess to answer your question, no, we haven't really, just what they maybe put out during, maybe some council. We're still just going by what the National Weather Service is predicting. I mean, we'll probably do something on Valley Talk here very shortly. We'll probably talk about our CERT team on Valley Talk, and then we'll get something out in the Times too. And I don't really have, I'll have to talk to Chad, and maybe he can get something on the city website or something like that.
Just to make them aware there.
Yep, absolutely.
It's just a couple people that had called me just the other day about it, their concerns, and asked. Well, I didn't really know what.
Yep, absolutely, and they can call me anytime. They can call me at the fire hall. They can call my cell phone. I'm glad to answer any questions. We want to make sure our citizens feel safe and informed, so, nope, thank you, good point.
Thank you.
CERT at 6, as
6:30.
usual? 6:30?
Yep, 6:30, we're hoping to get everybody out there by 9 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Dad?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a few brief items. I worked with Chief Frober last week to do some technology upgrades in the EOC, a new laptop, and we made all of the TV's presentation streaming capable, which was a nice uplift. We had 3 new Microsoft Surface Pros installed at the police department for Chief Seltzler and to the 2 detectives. Those were grant funded, and they are up and running well. We met as a website design committee for the first time and talked with Civic Plus about design concepts of our new website. And we are targeting end of July for going live with the new city website. And finally, our Microsoft Office 365 migration is nearing completion. We have a final cutover that we're looking at scheduling for this week. And that's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. Brian?
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you. Robert, anything tonight?
With the chief of meeting tomorrow, Your Honor, I will not have a report tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chief Darren?
Really quick, I really don't have much. Again, just I wanted to thank the mayor and the council for the swearing in ceremony. It was very ceremonial with the police department, so we really appreciate that. Also with the family. First couple weeks gone really well. A lot of meetings within the city and with some community members, but the transition has gone extremely well. Morale is real high at the police department, so appreciate all that. On the hiring front, hopefully we can make an offer this week. We have several background investigations going at the same time. I'm hoping even tomorrow, as soon as tomorrow, maybe Thursday, to make a contingent offer to one candidate with hopefully maybe next week another offer. So problem we're just going to run into a little bit is how many we can train at one time. So we're trying to stagger some of the hiring process or hiring dates so that we can get a little bit of a stagger between that, as our field training officers were limited on that. So they're going to be doing a lot of training for the next several months. Happy to report Don Rascott, he's back full duty as of last Thursday. So we have our SRO back in the school, which is a really good thing. And lastly, just want to thank Amy for her service to the city and community. You've been a joy to work with and you will be missed. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Darren. Christie, anything tonight?
Nothing really to report, Your Honor, except again, kind of following what Chief Seltzler had to say. Really appreciate the work and just the positive change that Amy has brought to the community, and you will be sorely missed.
Thank you, Christie. Tom?
And, Your Honor, just good luck on your new adventure.
Thanks, Tom. Delane?
Just the same. Thanks, Amy, for all the positive changes you've made in our city, and you will be missed.
Thank you. Joe?
Ditto what everybody's saying. It goes right around the board. You'll be missed, Amy. Good luck on your new endeavor, and no report, Your Honor.
Thank you. Don?
I'd like to thank Jake for the good job you've done with the park and rec and all the things you've done for the fall and winter. Very good job. Excellent. Thank you. And I'd like to thank Amy for her dedication to our city and moving us forward in the proper direction. It has been a pleasure working with you, and you will be missed. Thank you very much. Good luck in your new job.
Thanks, Don. Clayton?
Well, I'd like to congratulate Police Chief Darren Seltzler and Deputy Chief Nathan Nelson. And again, Amy, we're going to miss you. And it's been a privilege to work with you. I think I've learned a lot from you. So thank you for being here for us.
Steve?
Congratulations, Darren and the staff there. I think it's going to be a great addition, and same thing with Amy. Good luck in your new job, and we've done a lot of changes in Crookston, and it's been more for the better. I have one question about, I don't know when I can ask it, but now that's melting, we're getting some huge puddles in the corners, and there's a couple of residents have concerns about how we're gonna get through the drains because they got 6-7 inches of ice. When does the city go out and start cleaning?
They have the last few warm days. It's probably been a week and a half ago, maybe. Public Works did on the warmer days go out and take some of the buildup off the streets, and they have started clearing the ice out of some of the storm basins. So I think
that's not the residents' responsibility on their corners, right?
I don't believe so, no, I
the
think they'll
cities
come out,
should
yeah.
come up and do
And I
that.
believe this week with the expected warmer temperatures, while Brandon's out on vacation, he has asked his crew to focus on getting some of the buildup off of the streets, and I imagine will continue working their way through clearing some of the ice in those storm basins.
Yeah, like I said, it's gonna be really warm this weekend. There's
Yeah.
getting to be some lakes out there in the streets.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Well, thank you very much.
With that being said, if they scrape the streets, and it's cool at night, are they gonna go back and start to scoop out some of the driveways?
I-
They put all that slush in their driveways and it freezes.
I can say this, I didn't hear that specifically from Brandon, but I know in the past when they've had some of that really hard stuff that's gotten in front of people's driveways, they have gone back and tried to pick up some of that. He didn't specifically say that, but I'm just basing that on how they've handled that in the past. I would imagine they'll try not to keep any of that real hard stuff blocking people, because that is hard to get a shovel into, so.
Wayne?
Same thing, congratulations, guys. Good job, Jake, you got through another season. I see the ice is gone on 2 rinks now. And Amy, thank you for your time. It's been a challenge for everybody. I'm pretty sure you would have to agree.
I cannot disagree with that.
Okay. So hopefully things go well for you on your new one. Yeah, the water part, I think today they probably would have started, but they were down on Woodland from 8 o'clock this morning. They were still there when I came up tonight, that there's a water main break. It was, when I left this morning to go walking, it was dry. When I come back, it was a flood down there. And
It's gonna come in quick for sure.
yeah,
It's,
so, kind of keep a watch out too in your own wards, because we don't need to have any more ice than we already got.
Yeah,
so.
if you see any gushers, let us know for sure.
Who would you call on that? I texted Zach Strumman, that's the only one I had, Mike.
Generally, if you even just get a hold of us at City Hall, Tina can get a hold of probably Dave Lassard or one of the supervisors that's out.
Because, this was like 7 o'clock this morning.
What about after hours?
They call the fire hall.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
They never get to go home, so we can always get them there.
That's usually what people do, they'll call us.
And hopefully never busy, right?
Pardon?
Always there and hopefully never busy.
Was that just for water break, Wayne? Or was it,
Well-
what was all the water down there for?
It was a water main break, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they've been out and kind of cleared the corners on a lot of places. Because now you got, it's
And they've got-
6-inch drop.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, there's a fun time with the bus. You go around all day long. Yeah, you too, Clayton, you've been on that.
Okay, thanks, Wayne. I also would like to congratulations to Darren and Nate on their new adventures. Thank you much. Corkey, you got your hands full, so starting soon. Thanks for stepping up to the plate, much appreciated. Reminder that there is the League of Cities training. I think you all got the sheet on your table here, but that's April 4th at 5:30, and it's here. So just remember that. Also, Amy ain't quite gone yet. I'll sure touch base with her before she goes, but thank you. You, I think, got us in the right direction. You will be missed. And you can always come back to God's country, so.
I'll be back for prom and graduation for sure. So.
And you're gonna miss the ice moving through the river.
I am. I'm gonna really miss the weather the most of all.
Maybe Tim will send you a video of the ice. All right, nothing else, no ways and means, so nothing come before council. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.